Well, wherever you're watching us from, happy Founders Day to you. Hope you're enjoying your day. It's midday and you're joining us for Joy News today. In this edition, governing New Patriotic Party accuses opposition NDC of employing inferior communist tactics to undermine the voter registration exercise. It is the latest in the exchange of words between the two over military personnel's involvement in preventing applicants from registering in some areas. Massive roadblocks by residents of Hawashi in Accra protesting the refusal of authorities to repair malfunctioning traffic lights, which they say is the cause of some fatal accidents in the community. We bring you more details. Later in sports, it's decision time as Ghana football awaits a landmark court of arbitration decision for sports that could end the 10-month Ket Okraku administration. Also in business, car manufacturer VW assures their local operations will not collapse the local imports-dependent automobile business as it unveils its first batch of locally assembled vehicles in Ghana. We have these and more. Stay with us. In our first story, residents of Hawashi in Accra this morning mounted a roadblock in protest of the dysfunctional traffic lights in the community, causing the deaths of a number of residents. Joy News' Nana Alsafo PSA, who is at the scene, reported that joint security forces had to be deployed to maintain order. Let's give you a sense of what happened earlier this morning. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak with PSA, who has the latest. So, PSA, what's the latest with the demonstration?
Yes, Daniel, as it stands, the demonstration has relatively peaceful, calm has been restored to the area, although some tensions remain. The protesters themselves, reactions have been divided. There are two sections of them after they were told by the police that the traffic lines will be repaired in a week's time. Some of them have decided to go home, leave their premises and go awaiting that 1 week and telling me that they will take further action, even though they've not communicated them at the time. There are others also who say today and they are going to remain here for 24 hours, if that's what it takes, till authorities come. They want to see people actively working on the traffic lights before they move away.
Now, PSA, what exactly sparked this demonstration this morning?
Yes, the immediate cause of the demonstration, I'm told, is that yesterday evening in the hours of about 7 to 8 p.m., there was a knockdown of a gentleman by a vehicle, and that, according to residents, sparked the demonstration. Earlier, they had been working on a petition because, according to them, every week, at least one person dies on the road. There are no functioning traffic lights, and there are no security personnel also directing traffic. That means most of the cars, which often are speeding, are having to knock down several people. And residents are especially afraid since there are many schools in their vicinity and the children are inclusive or among the pedestrians that often cross these roads.
PSA Nana Alsafo, thank you very much for joining us with those updates. Now, the priestess, Serena Fatima, suspected to have been involved in the murder of the 90-year-old Ekia Dente, has been arrested from her hideout at Yeji in the Bono East region. The suspect is currently being interrogated by the police in Salaga. Information available to Joy News indicates she will, however, be brought to Damongo in the course of the day. Savannah Region correspondent Isaac Nonya has been telling us more.
She was picked up somewhere the early hours of last night, following the tip-off by informants in the area. Just like the Latifa Bumaya, who was also exposed by a female informant, it was like a similar situation where a female informant within the environment of Yeji also disclosed her identity to her location to the police in Salaga. I must say that the officials who came from Accra, the CID officers, are playing a critical role in conjunction with the police on the ground, leading to her arrest. If you go to the Savannah Regional Police Command and that of the East Regional, East Gonja Municipality, you will see the assignment written on the faces of the police officers following the arrest of this particular lady.
Meanwhile, the king of Gonjaland, Yabonra Tuntumba Bore Issa I, has congratulated the IGP and the entire police service and residents of the Savannah region for their efforts leading to the arrest of the key suspects. The king condemned the act of instant injustice, describing it as barbaric. He spoke to Joy News.
Yes, I, Yagbonra Tuntumba Boresa I, overlord of the Gonja Kingdom, this morning have had information confirming that the perpetrators or some of the perpetrators of the killing of our mother, Akuya Dente, has been arrested. I want to say that this barbaric act is not the best of it that it has happened in the Gonja Kingdom. I want to mention that everybody in the kingdom should stand and condemn this act to the fullest. Having said this, I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the security agencies in Ghana for working assiduously and making sure the perpetrators are brought to book. Congratulations to all security personnel. Again, I want to extend my profound gratitude to the traditional authority for supporting the security agencies and making sure that these perpetrators are brought to book. Also, the key informants in this whole matter, I want to say thank you to you for making sure and making available to the security agencies the vital information to pave the way for the arrest of these perpetrators. On this note, I still want to assure Ghanaians and the entire Gonja Kingdom that Gonja still remain as a peaceful land and as a peaceful place for everybody to invest in and go on with our businesses in success.
Now, the foundation and direction of Ghana football could be shaken as a court of arbitration for sport CAS is set to rule today on the landmark case involving Wilfred Osei-Kweku Palmer and the Ghana Football Association after a 10-month litigation over his disqualification from the FA's presidency. Osei-Kweku, who is the president of Ghanaian second-tier Tema Youth, dragged the now defunct Normalization Committee to the Global Tribunal over his unfair and biased disqualification from the Ghana FA presidential race back in October 2019. We go live to George Adu Jr. So, George, help us understand, why was Osei-Kweku Palmer kicked out of that presidential race?
Okay.
George, if you can hear me, why was Osei-Kweku Palmer kicked out of that race in the first place?
Yeah, Daniel, clearly it was because in the 2019 election, or the lead up to the 2019 election, he was disqualified by the elections committee on the grounds of integrity, and he did not agree with any of those points that were made by the election committee, and therefore carried the matter up to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and we are waiting for the verdict, which seems to be taking forever. It's truly a landmark decision for the Ghana Football Association, looking at it from any of the sides, but it looks like it's taking a lot of time to land. They were expecting the result or the verdict at 9 a.m. as the rules go. We expected that the lawyers would have been, quickly, or we have had an indication via mail from the Court of Arbitration for Sport. We don't know how far that's gone in terms of the lawyers, and we've not had any publication on the website, official website of the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So the long wait continues, and in both camps, I'm talking about in the camp of Wilfred Osei Palmer, waiting for the information, and also the Ghana Football Association, on the other hand, are waiting for the information. Where does Ghana football go really from here?
So what are the directions that are available after this ruling?
Well, it will be interesting what the verdict itself is, and that's what we're waiting for, because there are a number of scenarios, and for those who have been following us closely on our various social media accounts, and I'll remind you again, because we have a very big coverage of this once the verdict rushes through. You're following us on our Twitter handle at JoySportsGH, on Instagram at JoySportsGH, on myjoyonline.com with a lot of updates in there as well, and of course across platforms of multimedia, Joy News, Joy FM, and all our affiliate stations across the country. Now these are the three scenarios. The first scenario is for the relief that Wilfred Osei Palmer is seeking, like that very decision to disqualify him. He has called on the Court of Arbitration for Sport to nullify that. If the Court of Arbitration for Sport nullifies that, then it leads them into the next relief. And he says if you have nullified that, then it means that the election that took place in 2019 should also be called null and void, or null and void. If that is null and void, then it means that we are going on to have a new election. That's what he's calling for. These are the reliefs. If the Court of Arbitration for Sport grants the relief, it's possible that they also call for a fresh election. And that's what really shakes the foundations of Ghana football and the face of Ghana football as it is. It's also possible that the Court of Arbitration for Sport will say, we have cleared you of all the wrongdoing, yet there's not going to be any re-election, and so things will stay the way it is. But I feel that Wilfred Osei Palmer is pressing this so hard because he wants to take that I do not have integrity tag off his head. He is a very distinguished gentleman, and even aside football, I'm sure he has other things he's doing. There's so many arenas he would like to go through, and he's not happy with that tag. But the point is that when that tag is taken away by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, it will have different meanings. And we're waiting for what the task would just the rule. It's an interesting wait, but we're just waiting for it.
Now, we've followed this case, of course. You have followed this case for the past 10 months. Has the GFA made any statement in this direction? Have they reacted in any way to the court, the decision to go to court?
I should say that the reaction from the Ghana Football Association has been okay and very fair. Maybe some have said that they had an opportunity in the beginning when they took over power to probably talk to Wilfred Palmer and calm him down and say, can you drop this and let's go. They didn't go that option. It looked like they were ready for whatever be the case. And in analyzing all of this, we will have to understand that the Ghana Football Association is not about an individual, and that it's an institution. So whether it was the normalization committee, whether it is Kweku, whether it was Jan Piti before, it is the Ghana Football Association versus Wilfred Osei Palmer. And that's one of the key things. Now, the face of the Ghana Football Association, who is Kweku, has granted interviews about this case, and he has indicated that they are ready to allow the case to run. They are ready to accept whatever verdict comes from the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And that has been made absolutely clear by the president. It should give everyone confidence that we are trying our football, and our football is going through this. Whatever the decision, Ghana football will still come out as a winner because we are ensuring that all the cornerstones are so strong. Next time when an election committee sits around, they will know that a decision can end up, with a case in court, like the Court of Arbitration for Sport, before we go through it. So FA have been very fair, and they said they welcome any decision from the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and we're just looking forward to that to see where all of that pans out now.
Right, thank you very much, George Adu Jr. And you heard George say this. We are all over this story. We'll be bringing you all the analysis, all the implications. This is the channel to stay glued to. We move to other stories, and candidates at Trinidad Akodia Senior High School in Kumeu in the Ashanti region on Monday threatened to boycott the ongoing West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination, WASI. They accused school authorities of what they say is the too strict supervision of their first paper, demanding the headmaster leaves the examination hall. The students have also gone ahead to destroy furniture in the school's dining hall. The municipal chief executive for the area has been speaking with Joy News' Nane Aljima.
I assured them that they need to write a second paper so that they will be complete and that it is their future. Whatever that might have transpired, we will be able to trash it out after the paper. So I also, together with the team that we visited, took some time to be with them. And then I think they took the paper. The teachers, the invigilators also played dual role. They inspired them, psyched them, and they were able to go through the practicals, and it was well.
So they were saying something about the invigilators being too strict. They came to you, and you've been in the middle of this issue, so you understand their issues. What do they exactly mean by strict invigilation?
Yes, what I heard and what I've put up three-man committee that they should go deep down there and then get the cause, the remote cause. But I believe that the whole thing centered not only on the invigilators. I think they alleged that one of the teachers was attacked by the headmaster, took the phone and then hit it on the ground. And I believe that they were not pleased with it. And as you rightly said, I personally also was baffled. What were they expecting that they couldn't get? So I told them that, well, we need to look at that aspect also. But the major issue that confronted me, that I had to overcome, was the paper that they decided not to write. And we were able to right the wrong and then get them back to the classroom. There is peace. The rest of the issues that boiled up the matter, we will go into it and then come out.
I've been interacting with some of the students, and according to them, they don't want the headmaster in any of the examination halls from tomorrow when the examination resumes. What are you doing about this? Is he still going to be at post and work with other invigilators to ensure that the examination goes on successfully?
The security of the exams is quite paramount, and as I rightly put it, yesterday I was with the Director of Education here, and we will not do anything to mar the peaceful atmosphere that we are enjoying currently. So even if it is me, that will be the detractive factor. I will sacrifice myself. So it is in his own interest, and then the security of the exams, so that the other frontliners, we have deputies, so that at the end of the day, when all is said and done, he will also be protected. So his security is quite paramount.
So my final question, I know that there was some property damaged in the dining hall. Can you give us the extent of...
Now, the national chairman of the NPP, Mr. Freddie Blay, is accusing the opposition NDC of employing inferior communist tactics to undermine the EC's voter registration exercise. The NPP's chairman made the accusation during a news conference a while ago here in Accra.
Our brothers and sisters of the NDC are desperately trying to undermine the simple, civil, and peaceful exercise of voter registration into one of ethnocentrism through outright fabrications, needless exaggerations, and old-fashioned fear-mongering propaganda tactics, and if I will say, with your permission, inferior communist tactics. It has not been very smooth, I must say. The Electoral Commission, EC, the arbiter with sole authority to determine elections has had to prove its mettle over and over again these past few months.
Let's go on the phone lines and speak with our correspondent, Manuel Cranting, who's attending the program for more. Manuel, what explanation has Mr. Blay been offering for this accusation against the NDC?
You know, he's exactly saying that the NDC, led by John Dramani Mahama, former president, have absolutely no message for Ghanaians. In fact, he lists a number of instances where he says that the NDC has lost all its options, you know, in getting back into the race, properly speaking. He mentions the Supreme Court ruling, which he claims the NDC, through its General Secretary, Johnson Nsidin Ketia, attempted to steal a verdict. He says that after all of these things, the NDC is left with no other option than what he describes as, communist, inferior communist tactics. He says they are only trying to pitch Ghanaians against each other in what they describe as ethnocentric tendencies by the government.
Right, Manuel, we know that the NDC is addressing the media later today, but Mr. Blay seems to allege that the allegations that have been put out are not true. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, he's saying that because he's been making a number of points to defend that. First of all, he mentions and makes reference to the Banda incident, that he says that there was a regional security council meeting which brought both parties, both major parties, the NPP and the NDC, to sit and deliberate about how to carry out, including the NDC, the Electoral Commission, of course, to deliberate about how to carry out peacefully the voter registration exercise in that area. And both of them had signed an undertaking to ensure that the security would step in to ensure, that everybody was complying with the protocols therein. And so he's taken aback in his words that the NDC turned around to say that the presence of the security personnel in the area is essentially for the purpose of voter suppression. He goes ahead also to mention that in some particular areas in the voter region, specifically the Ketu South constituency, the data available from the Electoral Commission does not in any way support the claims of the NDC. He adds also that in fact, the yet to be completed registration exercise by the Electoral Commission, that constituency has registered over 132,000 potential voters, like eligible voters, as against the total registration registrants in 2016 of 149,000. They are optimistic that by the end of the entire registration exercise, that particular constituency, would supersede the earlier number of 149,000.
Right.
And add finally that the voter region is one of the regions that has actually exceeded the national average in terms of registrants. So the data available to them from the EC does not in any way support the claims of the NDC as regards voter suppression in the area.
Manuel Cranting, thank you so much for joining us with those details. Still on this story, the Defense Ministry says it is investigating a case of alleged impersonation by men in military uniform accused of terrorizing residents in Banda in the Bono region. The Banda constituency has been a hotbed of controversy, with the opposition NDC accusing government of deploying the military to intimidate prospective voters in the ongoing registration exercise. The Banda Tradition Authority had also complained about armed men in military uniform patrolling some registration centers and intimidating applicants. Speaking on PM Express Monday night, Defense Minister Dominic Netiwo dismissed the allegations, insisting the accused gun-wielding men are not members of the official armed forces.
Which video? I've told you several times that Banda is an isolated local problem that the military was invited to come and resolve those problems.
Yeah, but that's
if Bimbila people...
That's my point, that the invitation alone...
Can I finish? If the Bimbila people... When I say they were invited, if Bimbila people start to cause trouble in police station, the military will be invited by respect to come there. That's the point I'm trying to make, is
to deal with the threat of violence.
To deal with the threat of violence.
Not
and remember,
suspicion of foreigners.
No. I've said that. Not suspicion of foreigners registered. They deal with the threat of violence. And I've told you that In the video where you saw the military man talking to the people, okay, in the line, they were talking to them. These people were in boats of more than, there were about three or four boats. In fact, when I spoke to both of them, they all said 3 or 4 boats. And they all said that another set of people had massed up
to prevent them from coming because they believe they were coming to register.
They believe, no, they believe they were foreigners. Those who were bringing them said that they were not foreigners. And the people said they were not allowed. The military had to step in to say, no, it's not your duty to block the people. Let them come in. It's our duty. To stop terrorists, it's our duty. If they are Ghanaians, they will be allowed to register. You have no business coming to block them because you have agreed that you cannot physically prevent somebody. That's all I keep saying to you. That when you invite the military by your actions, you should not expect that everything will be the way you and me would enjoy our freedom here. Some little discomfort will have to be around you. It's not the same thing. Because Banda is a different ballgame altogether. Because somebody died. And the possibility of reprisal attacks was there. So RESEC deployed the military to bring peace and security to the area. You and me would have been accusing the military of not doing their work if there was gunfire in Banda. God forbid if there's gunfire today. These same young men and women that we are trying to bastardize, the former president is trying to bastardize, would have been asked to go and prevent it. God forbid, maybe one could have died. You don't never know. So the best thing for them to do is to prevent it. If we cannot praise them for what they are doing, we should not bastardize them. We should not set the public against them. And I'm sad that this is the 3rd time that the former president is setting the public against the military. He was just commanded.
You think that's what he was doing?
I think so.
Our youth group affiliated with the ruling New Patriotic Party, Coalition of Concerned Youth of the MPP, has given the national executive of the party 1 week to reverse the suspension of the Upper West Regional Youth Organizer of the party, John Bosco Luritia, or they will resort to all legal means to reinstate him. John Bosco Luritia was suspended by the Regional Executive Committee of the party for alleged misconduct and incompetence. The coalition accused the party regional chair of his unquenchable desire to pursue his personal ego by suspending any member of the party, executive or member, who doesn't agree with him. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam attended the news conference and reports from Wa.
The Upper West Regional Secretariat of the MPP, in a letter dated July 31 and signed by the party's regional chairman, SB Kangbare, suspended the regional youth organizer of the MPP, John Bosco Luritia, for alleged misconduct and incompetence on his part in relation to official duties. A youth group within the MPP in the Upper West region, Coalition of Concerned Youth of MPP, is however unhappy with the decision of the party's regional chair, expressing their disgust and revulsion for what they called the unacceptable character of SB Kangbare and a few of his inward-looking executives who they claimed are well bent to reverse the positive gains the MPP has made in the Upper West region. Suleiman Bako speaks for the Coalition of Concerned Youth of the MPP in the Upper West region.
Chairman SB Kangbare has become the pivot of a deliberate political machine set up by unseen hands to expel many hard-working patriots who have toiled assiduously to bring the party to its feet in the Upper West region. All his draconian decisions are born out of self-seeking emotions powered by an unquenchable desire to pursue his ego at the peril of the party's health. SB has vowed to suspend any party executive or member who doesn't agree with him personally. Following to this, he suspended the Nadoli-Kaleo constituency chairman in less than 1 year in office. Again, suspended 5 regional communication team members. And the latest is the regional youth organizer.
The Concerned Youth expected the Upper West MPP's chair, where he sought to have applied sobriety, dexterity, and diligence to the issue on hand, considering the timing to the general election.
It is absurd and repulsive that Chairman Kangbare orchestrated a petition from a fugitive who betrayed the trust of the party in the 2016 general elections the said fugitive was caught to present a frivolous and an empty petition against Mr. Lurutier John Bosco with the speed of light. Chairman S.B. Kangbare set aside due process as outlined in our party's constitution, went ahead to suspend the fulcrum of the youth wing, and further set up a kangaroo committee to oversee the running of the youth wing. It is our considered view that any regional chairman worth his salt would have applied sobriety, dexterity, and diligence to these issues, considering the timing that we find ourselves in.
According to the coalition, 18 of the 22 youth organizers and their deputies in the region, presidents of TESCOM, and the leadership of Regional Youth Secretariat and the various youth camps across the region have signed a petition distancing themselves from what they called the frivolous allegations raised by the petitioner against the hardworking youth organizer.
If we follow the due process and we feel that the right decision is not taken, we as youth of the party will not take the law into our own hands, because we know that the party is doing good work in government. And for that matter, we wouldn't want to do anything that will destroy the image of the party. But we will take the appropriate legal means that will what? Seek to reinstate the regional youth organizer, the legitimately elected regional youth organizer who has proven beyond reasonable doubt in the recent times as the best regional officer in the regional executive committee.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
Now, about 1,216 persons affected by the development of the Bui hydroelectric project initiated by the government of Ghana in the year 2007 are benefiting from a livelihood enhancement program initiated by the authority. Now, the authority has identified business modules and constituted affected persons into cooperatives to operate them for their sustenance. Correspondent Anna Sabit has more.
The development of the Bui hydroelectric project in the year 2007 affected 8 communities, leading to the resettlement of 1,216 persons. Per the recommendations outlined in the Environmental and Social Impact Assessment, a resettlement program was fashioned out to resettle the affected persons who lost their sources of income as a result of the project. Ekuya Sechi is the Assistant Manager, Corporate Affairs.
As a result of the creation of the dam, certain communities needed to be resettled. We resettled the communities. Beyond that, how do we ensure their sustainability? So we initiated, it's part of our mandate, a livelihood enhancement program. The objective of the program is to create an alternative livelihood for the people we resettled. Those are the project-affected persons. And it's mainly so that they will become businesses, not employees, to be able to sustain themselves, to give them financial independence so that they do not depend. We wanted to avoid the dependency syndrome.
Aside the efforts by the authority to recruit from the community of project-affected persons, the authority has over the years made every effort to additionally develop business models and constituted the eligible project-affected persons into groups of cooperatives to operate independent businesses. Mr. Salifu Wumbila is the Director of the General Services Department of the BPA.
Beyond Buipo Authority, they are at liberty to render those services to communities, to people within their communities, and even beyond. And so these are their companies, it's not our company. What we did was to facilitate the process for them. So as I speak to you now, we have 17 businesses that have been duly registered with the Registered General Department, and the certificates are currently in their possession. We are not even keeping them.
Since August 2019, 8 models have been constituted, under which several project-affected persons have benefited from. About 365 persons chose the aquatics fishing model as an alternative livelihood program. William Kevin Isuman, a community relations officer with BPA, explains how the ponds operates under this model.
This is a concrete structure with a tarpaulin. Okay, so there's a pump in it that turns the water around to make sure the waste is gathered at the center. Then those tubes you see there draws the waste into the bucket, and there's another pump there that sends the water back to the pump. So the water is recycled to make sure the waste is taken out every morning.
Samuel Obin, a member of this group, tells Joy News that this model would help alleviate poverty amongst the people.
We were
farming at first, but after learning this trade, it is helping us financially and in the upbringing of our children. Other models commissioned and currently under operation include sanitation, cleaning services, lawn maintenance, weeding or fire control, fumigation, and warehouse maintenance. Some of the beneficiaries have been sharing with Joy News how the models have helped in reshaping their lives.
They provide a lot of materials or equipment that help us also to do the work, so that day in, day out, you can get something out of it. The motorcanes and the materials, the boiler suit and the water team boots, it was provided by the PPA.
Prior to this project, we were struggling with life because we were unemployed. The BPA gave us this job to sustain us. Also, young girls in the affected communities interested in learning the fashion trade were sponsored by the authority to learn the trade. From the Bui Resettlement Project site in the Bono region, I am Anas Sabit for Joy News.
Now, the Rara Government Hospital in the Oti region has received personal protective equipment worth 20,000 Ghana cedis from the Reach Out Medical Team, a philanthropic organization concerned with the well-being of the less privileged. The items are expected to better position the facility to take care of patients that may be infected with COVID-19 and protect health workers from contracting the virus during treatment.
Oti region, as of 27th July 2020, recorded 192 coronavirus cases with 35 recoveries, 104 discharged, and 3 deaths. 45 persons are, however, on treatment at isolation centers across the region. The Rara Government Hospital, which serves as the Oti Regional Hospital, houses one of such isolation centers. This gave reason to the Reach Out Medical Team to support the facility with PPE to augment healthcare delivery during the coronavirus pandemic. The PPE, valued at 20,000 Ghana cedis, included medical surgical gloves, hand sanitizers, face masks, hand washing stations, facial protective shields, disinfectants, white gun boots, among others. Dr. Anastasia Uenchi is the co-director of the Reach Out Medical Team.
We selected 3 major hospitals in the country for the time being. We are here to give to Rara Government Hospital and also 35 major communities within the Oti region and Biakunya constituency. So we are here to make this presentation to you. And we want to say that this was not achieved by just one man. We have our friends, Dr. Engel and his beautiful wife, Kathy, in Germany. They also supported us to make sure that all these items reach the right people at the right time for the right use.
The medical superintendent of the Rara Government Hospital, Dr. Sefako Tete, lauded the gesture and promised to put the items to judicious use.
Now, Joy News will tonight's broadcast the second part of the investigative report detailing stealing of cocoa by clerks and licensed cocoa buyers today after 2 years of legal tussle. Now, Missing Kilos explores how officials of state and privately licensed buying companies are just weighing scales to steal as much as 100 kilos from a single farmer. Joy News' investigative journalist, Kwete Nate, unveils a national plunder of the country's farmers.
After weighing my cocoa, I have brought the cocoa to the first shed at Amokwa. A man in his early 40s offers to buy the cocoa. He volunteers to carry the cocoa. He takes me to a mud-thatched house. He doesn't own his own shed. He weighs the cocoa at home. A bag of 70-kilogram cocoa now weighs 64 kilogram on his scale. He's demanding an extra 5 kilogram, despite stealing 6 kilograms through the adjustment of the scale.
In this community, it will be impossible to find a shed that will weigh cocoa at 64 kilograms. Is there a depot at Anyinase?
It's all live on Joy News today. Remember, this documentary airs at 6:30 p.m. on this channel today. Now, coming up in business, car manufacturer VW assures their local operations will not collapse the local import-dependent automobile business as it unveils its first batch of locally assembled vehicles in Ghana.
Good afternoon and welcome to Business. I am Sandra Esinamafeno, CEO of Volkswagen. Jeffrey Pepra is assuring second-hand car dealers their presence in Ghana will not kill their operations. Speaking at the launch of the first batch of VW locally assembled cars, Jeffrey Pepra says the company will rather transfer knowledge to the local workforce to make them viable in the automobile space.
Basically here to witness the launch or the outdooring of VW cars assembled right here in Ghana, and so far a number of 4 cars, among them is Passat, VW Passat, Tiguan, and a couple of other brands. CEO of VW Ghana, Jeffrey Pepra, says they are in talks with some financial institutions to assist automobile financing schemes. According to him, the cost of locally assembled cars will be less compared to the fully imported car. Newly assembled cars have a starting price of 60,000 Ghana cedis.
For assembly locally, we really have the cost is really a very low cost compared to buying car from Europe and in importing here, because the government has also support with the tax waivers and things, and we don't have to transfer the taxes to before we having an import taxes on it, and the import taxes are at the moment also on a lower rate. So it makes the prices also go down, and it's a fantastic prices I think all of us could be able to afford.
The CEO further assured local car importers and second-hand car dealers that their operations will not hamper their businesses, but rather VW will transfer technical knowledge to book them a place in Ghana's automobile space.
All these second-hand operators that there are a lot of things going on, we're not going to take their business. We are open to work with them, and we're going to transfer technology and also knowledge to them.
The Trade and Industry Minister, Alan Chirmantin, believes the presence of these automobile giants will help the country to make some savings on the Ghana's foreign exchange.
It is also creating an opportunity for us to earn significant amounts of foreign exchange. And it is the foreign exchange that we earn that will stabilize our local currency.
I am Fred Duho reporting for Joy Business.
About 85,000 businesses in Ghana are still closed down due to the coronavirus pandemic. This was featured in the COVID-19 Business Tracker survey by the Ghana Statistical Service. Charles Haiti has more in this report.
According to the COVID-19 Rapid Survey Business Tracker highlights by the Ghana Statistical Service, over 115,000 businesses have either permanently or temporarily closed down across the country. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobuna Aining.
Clearly, one of the major issues that led to closures of businesses was the partial lockdown in Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi, and indeed some pockets of the central region. Once we had partial lockdown, what that meant was that businesses naturally in these areas had to close down. Indeed, they had to close down involuntarily.
The tracker also reveals that more than 45,000 workers have lost their jobs during the partial lockdown, with those in the accommodation and food sector badly hit. So far, more than 500,000 workers have also had their wages reduced.
The accommodation and food subsector recorded the highest trough in sales. So although our bars mask the effect of the accommodation and food subsector, indeed the accommodation and food subsector recorded the highest decline in sales to the tune of 57%.
Despite some respite granted businesses by government with the 600 million stimulus package, close to 131,000 businesses revealed that they still had challenges accessing finance, with over 60% calling for subsidized interest rates.
In more news this afternoon, Parliament has approved the host country agreement between Ghana and the African Union for the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat in Accra. A report by Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee says Ghana will secure a premises for the Secretariat as well as provide the necessary security. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayokor-Botchwey told Parliament between 100 and 150 Ghanaians will gain job opportunities at the Secretariat.
The AU process from inception to the signing of the AfCFTA agreement and the host country agreement today has ended up in Parliament. And what we are doing is opening the door for the Secretariat to start operations. Mr. Speaker, the Secretary General and his team, the first team to kickstart operations, will arrive in the country sometime this month. Indeed, it is true that we had to postpone it from March to August, and also even the operations of the Secretariat, the trading has been postponed to January. But we are on course, and we believe that this will happen very soon, despite the delays that have been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. But in our obligations, Mr. Speaker, we are supposed to provide the office space, which we have, 4 floors at the Africa Trade House. We've also provided a residence for the Secretary General, and also we granted diplomatic immunities and privileges to the full diplomatic immunities and privileges to the AfCFTA Secretariat, its staff and its dependents.
For business for now, we are back at 1 p.m. with the marketplace, but log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. I am Sandra Essenam Apen. Thanks so much for watching.
Also in showbiz, social media brand influencer Ebenezer Forson has cleared the air on rumors of him being gay. Speaking to Hits FM's Caddy, the brand influencer said his reason for dressing up in videos as a woman is to aid his job as an influencer. Eben also said his style of walking has been like that since infancy.
It goes by EB Forson. We are going to talk about what he does on social media, how he's getting the market, because he's taking social media by storm. Everybody is purchasing him. They want him to advertise for them and all those stuff. So we want to know the magic behind all of this, the magic behind that large following and what he's up to. What exactly do you do?
Okay, I'm EB Forson. Yes, I'm a presenter, a song promoter, advertiser, judge, a voiceover, and I think I do a lot.
So you are like a brand influencer. How did it all start?
Okay, it's all happened. I think I once worked at restaurants, and there's a thing I call Kimpin. Yes, he has gone up, and he told me that, oh, Kaka, sorry, me yanko a video. So I didn't change because I'll go to work around 10 o'clock. And he did an OPM, so iPhone minimu, and he did the iPhone like this, so iPhone minimu. So I think when he did that, and he did it, I was not looking good. I wasn't looking good. My hair was nasty, makeup raw. So I was there, and AJ Pounds told me that EB Forsen, Koshena, yeah, if you're door Apple still. But I didn't know if you're door. And my followers was 350 followers. So I called Kimpin, I'm calling Kimpin. I told you not to post it. I'll say, I can hype no. I said, okay, fine. I did see the followers started coming. Someone insulted me that why didn't I die before Ebony? Yeah. And I thank God. I didn't reply to the person. It was if your door, Sister Debbie, I think a whole lot. They were fighting for me and all that. I didn't even reply. So I sang this song, and I was using against the person. Apparently, boom. I came to Kwesiata, Dope Nation, a whole lot.
So how do you take these criticisms when people talk to you like?
More on that interview later in other Showbiz bulletins. But this is where we draw the curtains on the Founders Day edition of Joy News Today. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.